tongue, tonsil, salivary glands, the upper respiratory organs, which also includes your lower respiratory structures or lower respiratory organ, and then of course the esophagus and the stomach, okay, in the duodenum. And as I told you a while ago, that the foregut derivatives no will end at the second portion of the duodenum, no, proximal to the exit of your common bile duct or your ampulla of butter. And then always remember that the liver, biliary apparatus, which are your hepatic ducts, gallbladder, bile duct, and the pancreas are all foregut derivatives. Okay. So as I said a while ago, class, no, there are two parts of your foregut derivatives. The organs which originate from the primordial pharynx, okay, it will end before the esophagus will enter, no, the abdominal cavity. Okay, and then where does the second part or the distal part of the foregut derivatives begins? It will begins the moment the esophagus will enter the cardia of the stomach. Okay, and then it will end at the half of your I mean the descending part of your duodenum, proximal to the exit of the ampulla of butter. Now, pagka sinabi natin class na ampulla of butter, the ampulla of butter is where your um, major pancreatic duct or the main pancreatic duct and the common bile duct unites. Okay, so you call it the ampulla of butter, and it is exiting at the second part, no, at the second part of the duodenum. Okay, so please take note of the different organs which are foregut derivatives. Now, in our lecture for today, I will just be discussing about the GIT structures, no? Because the discussion on the accessory organs will be discussed separately. Okay, which also include the spleen, no? All of these are also foregut derivatives. Now, the only thing that we will do is, or what I will do, is to discuss the accessory organs separately, which will be my discussion this afternoon. Okay? So, the first structure that we are going to discuss is the oral cavity, being the first organ, which are foregut derivatives that arises from the primordial pharynx. Okay? So if you're going to look at the oral cavity is formed by the palate, okay, or the palate, okay, the roof of the oral cavity, while the floor of the oral cavity is formed by the tongue, okay, the mucosa, which
Excuse
are
me po, Doc.
supported by your geniohyoid and the mylohyoid muscle. Okay? And then if you're going to look at the lateral and anterior wall of your oral cavity, the oral cavity is formed by the outer cheeks and lips, okay? And an inner body wall, which includes the gum and the teeth. So that's the oral cavity. Now, if you're going to look at this, the oral cavity consists of two major divisions or two major parts. Okay, so the structure that is between the wall of the oral cavity, okay, between the oral mucosa, okay, and the gums or the tooth, so that is what you call the oral vestibule. And then of course you have the oral cavity proper, okay, all structure that is inside, okay, inside of your teeth, okay, and the gums. So this is your oral cavity proper. So yung lahat ng structure class that is between the teeth and the oral mucosa is the oral vestibule. While all structures inside of the teeth and the gums are all the structures which belong to the oral cavity proper.
Excuse me po, Doc. Pasensya na
Yes.
po. Doc, hindi po nagmo-move yung slide po.
Ay, talaga, hindi nagmo-move.
Apo. Thank you po.
Ayan, nagmo-move hindi.
Hindi pa rin po, Dok.
So, hindi nagmumove. Hindi nagmumove ulit. Sa akin kasi nagmumove yung pala sa ano, hindi. How about this one? Yan, pag
Yes po,
ito,
Dok.
nakita nyo?
Apo,
Yan.
Dok.
O,
Yes
sige,
po.
ito na lang ang gamitin ko. No?
Thank you po.
Yan, at least you, okay, kung tingnan natin kung i-play. So, hindi pa rin. Okay, so ito na lang. Okay, palakihin na lang natin. Pasensya na class ha, kasi I'm just starting to use my laptop. Hindi pa ako nawala ulit. Hindi pa ako pamilyar gamitin. Palakihan natin. Ayan. Okay, so na-mention ko na ito. So we are already in the oral cavity. Okay. Okay, so the oral cavity, okay, the anatomy of the oral cavity, of course, will be consisting of the lips, okay, that protect the anterior opening of the oral cavity. It also consists of the cheeks, okay, from that form the lateral wall of the oral cavity, the hard palate or the anterior form or the forming the anterior roof of the oral cavity, the subpalate or the subpalate forming the posterior roof, and of course the uvula, no? So the uvula class is the pleasure protection of the subpalate, okay? So ito yung the structure that you see hanging, no, at the back of your tongue. Okay, so that is your uvula, yan, no? So that is your uvula. Okay, so when it comes to the palate, no, there are two division or two parts of the palate, the hard and the soft. So take note that the hard palate forms the anterior part and forms the bony framework, no, which is covered by the mucous membrane between the nasal and the oral cavity. And then if you're going to look at the hard palate, it is consisting of the palatine process of the maxilla in the horizontal place of the palatine bones. And remember that the hard palate is innervated by the nasopalatine and the greater palatine nerves of the maxillary division of your cranial nerve number 5. Okay, now, other structures found at the hard palate, okay, the bony structure, you will find the incisive foramen. So the incisive foramen class is the small opening which transmit the nasopalatine and the nasopalatine artery, the artery and the vein. And then, of course, you have also the greater palatine foramen, okay, which transmits the greater palatine nerve and the greater palatine artery. And then you have also the lesser palatine foramen, which transmit the lesser palatine nerve and the lesser palatine artery. Okay, now when it comes to the subpalate or the subpalate, you will see that you can feel the subpalate glands at the back of the upper part of the oral cavity. No, you can feel it with your tongue, and then at the more posterior part of the roof of your mouth, you will feel a soft structure, no, soft fibrous muscular fold, okay, which is extending from the posterior border of the hard palate, and it is containing the skeletal muscles and ends with the posterior uvula. Okay, so that is your subpalate. Now, if you're going to look at it, no, the subpalate is moving posteriorly against the pharyngeal wall. Okay, and the main function of which is to close the oropharyngeal isthmus when you are swallowing or when you are talking. Okay, so remember that your subpalate is also continuous with the palatoglossal and the palatopharyngeal folds. Okay, now it is innervated. The mucosa of the subpalate is innervated with the lesser palatine nerve of the maxillary division of the cranial nerve number 5, and the core of the subpalate is formed by the membranous palatine aponeurosis. Okay, so there are four four pair of skeletal muscles attached to the parotid aponeurosis, which act on the soft palate. Okay? So what are these four muscles class of your soft palate? First, you have the tensor belly, pele palatini. So the action of this tensor belly palatini muscle is to tense the soft palate, and it opens the auditory tube, and it is innervated by the mandibular branch of cranial nerve number 5. Now, the elevator belly palatini, okay, the name implies it elevates the soft palate and opens your auditory tube. While the musculus or uvulae, okay, is the structure of the muscle that elevates the uvula. So it means that your uvula is consisting, no? If you're going to open your uvula, it will be consisting of the muscle, and that muscle is your musculus uvulae. Okay, now, there is also another muscle in the subpalate, and that is your palatopharyngeus muscle. So the main action of your palatopharyngeus muscle is to elevate the pharynx, and at the same time it closes the nasopharynx. And it is innervated by your vagus nerve, no? Specifically the pharyngeal plexus. So these are the four muscles that you are going to see, and take note of the muscles consisting the soft palate. Okay, now what will happen in cases, no, you have a problem? There is a lesion of the vagus nerve. Okay, so if a certain individual has some lesion of the vagus nerve, what will happen to the uvula? The uvula will be deviating towards the opposite side of the lesion. Okay, so if, for example, class, no, the left part is the one that is affected. So where will your uvula pointing, or where will it deviate? To the left or to the right? The injury is on the left. Huh? Kali, that
Right po,
me?
Doc.
Okay, so the uvula will be deviating towards the right side because the injury is on the left. Okay? Now, why? Why is there deviation? Because of the paralysis of the musculus uvulae. Okay? So please take note of this clinical correlate that I mentioned today, no? Every time that you have injury or paralysis of your or lesion of the vagus nerve, if the injury is on the left side, then the movement or the deviation of the uvula will be going to the right side, or any to the opposite side. Okay, so after the oral cavity, okay, what other structures are found inside of the our oral cavity, which are part of the organ derivatives, no? Originating coming from the primordial pharynx. So we have your tongue. Okay, so the tongue, take note, is a muscular organ, and it is very important type group of muscles because it is involved in uh, swallowing, I mean mastication, okay, or chewing, gustation, deglutition, articulation, and of course, at the same time, cleansing the mouth. Okay, so these are the main function of the tongue. So if you're going to look at this, the tongue is covered. Okay, it is consisting of the skeletal muscle. That's why it's called striated muscle, and it is covered with the mucous membrane. Now, the anterior two-third of the anterior part of the tongue, anterior two-third is called the mouth. Okay, and the posterior one-third, okay, of the tongue is located in the pharynx. Okay, so if you're going to look at this, the tongue is divisible into the process and the subpalate above, and mandible and the hyoid bone below. Okay, so this is the tongue. Now, the tongue consists of the root. The root is the inferior, okay? And take note that the root of the tongue is the relatively fixed part attached to the hyoid and the mandible. So this is the posterior third of the tongue, which is called post-sulcal, no? It is called post-sulcal. And then the anterior third of the tongue is the body, and it is consisting of the apex, which is the pointed anterior, consisting also of the dorsum and inferior of the tongue. Now, the anterior two-thirds of the tongue class, okay, is called the presulcal tongue, okay? Presulcal. The posterior one-third is the postsulcal part of the tongue. Okay, so if you're going to look at the mucous membrane, the upper surface is divided into the anterior and the posterior. The posterior class is the pharyngeal part of the tongue, which ends in a V-shaped structure. Yeah, the one that is pointed. So that V-shaped sulcus at the posterior end of the tongue is called the sulcus terminalis. Okay? And then if you're going to look at the apex of your V, sulcus terminalis, you will see a small pit or a small opening, and that small opening is called the foramen cecum. Okay? So that is your foramen cecum. Okay, now in the tongue there are three types of papilla. Okay, now take note that the three types of papilla are present on the upper surface of the anterior two-thirds of the tongue. So these are your filiform papillae, pungiform papillae, and the palate or the circumvallate. Now, class, actually there is a fourth papilla, and that is the foliate papilla. But the foliate papilla class is common only to animals. Okay, it is not well developed in human being. So the posterior one-third of the tongue is devoid of papilla. Okay, and it is consisting of the two nodular irregular surface lingual tonsil. So this is your lingual tonsil class. Okay, so this is the anterior one-third and this is the posterior one-third. Okay, of the tongue. Okay, so the lingual papillae, no, as I said, this will be consisting of the valate or the circumvallate. So the valate or the circumvallate class are the large and flat top lingual papillae, and they are lying anterior, directly anterior to the sulcus terminalis. Okay? Now, how about the piliform? Piliform papillae. The piliform papillae class are long and numerous and contain apparent nerve endings that are sensitive to touch. Okay, the pungiform. So these are your mushroom-shaped papillae, which is said to be very abundant. No, they are very abundant at the apex and sides of the tongue. And then you have the foliate. So the foliate, which is common in the animals, are small lateral folds of the lingual mucosa, and as I said, they are poorly developed in human being. Okay, so please take note of your lingual papilla. Okay, so if you're going to look at the picture, it will tell you the different location of the lingual papillae. So you have your palate, very common to the posterior third of the tongue, and then you have the foliate, which is common to the posterior one-third of the tongue, and then the piliform, which is common at the anterior, no, anterior top or superior portion of the tongue. And then you have the pungiform, the papillae, which is usually seen at the tip of the tongue. Okay, so these are some of the to alter the shape of the tongue. Okay? So what are these four intrinsic muscles of the tongue that alter the shape of the tongue? The superior muscle, inferior longitudinal, superior longitudinal, the transverse muscle, and the vertical muscle. So they are your intrinsic because the origin and insertion are purely found in the tongue. So that's why they are called intrinsic. Okay? So they alter, these muscles alter the shape of the tongue. So also your intrinsic muscles of the tongue are innervated by the hypoglossal nerve or your cranial nerve number 12. Now, what are your extrinsic muscles? The extrinsic muscles are the muscles of the tongue that ends with glossus. So you have your palatoglossus, which elevates the tongue. Okay, that is the main action of the palatoglossus. It elevates the tongue. Styloglossus, it retracts the tongue. Hyoglossus, depression of the tongue. Genioglossus, protrusion of the tongue. Okay? So please take note of the different location of the tongue muscles because they are shown with an arrow. Okay, for you to identify them. Okay, so the palatoglossus is originating from the palatine aponeurosis of the subpalate, and it is inserted on the side of the tongue. Okay? And then you have your styloglossus. The styloglossus originates from the styloid process. The name implies stylo, no? So, styloid process and the styloid ligament. It is inserting on the side of the tongue in the inferior aspect of the tongue. Okay, hyoglossus, it originates from the body and greater horn of the hyoid bone. It is inserting on the side and inferior aspect of the tongue. Okay? So you can see that in the picture because they are labeled, no? So that you can identify these muscles of the tongue. And then, of course, you have the genioglossus. The genioglossus originates from the superior part of the ventral spine of the mandible and insert to the dorsum of the tongue and the body of the hyoid bone. Okay, so these are the four intrinsic and the four extrinsic muscles of the tongue. Okay, so if the intrinsic muscles alter the shape, okay, of the tongue, the extrinsic muscles of the tongue alter the position of the tongue. Okay, it is also innervated by the hypoglossal nerve, except except your palatoglossus, no, wherein the palatoglossus is innervated by your vagus nerve or your cranial nerve number 10. Okay, so if you're going to look at the picture class, no, you will see the legend which says that your trigeminal nerve, cranial nerve number 5. Okay, this is trying to elevate all structures on the lateral side of the anterior two-thirds of your tongue. Kita nyo class, no, the lines which are red horizontally, and then the glossopharyngeal nerve, okay, the blue one, ito yun, no, the one I'm pointing. So this part of the tongue is innervated, no, bilaterally by your glossopharyngeal. And then your cranial nerve number 10, yung kulay orange. So yun. Okay? And then the facial nerve, yung kulay green. Dito sa may anterior two-third of the tongue. If you're going to look at this class, no, may dalawang innervation sa anterior two-third of the tongue. No, that is your trigeminal and the facial. Okay? So those are the no class you know already when you say sensory, no? Bakit when you are trying to uh, drink hot water,
Doc, choppy po kayo.
no, you can feel it, no, that it is hot. No? Kasi I'm in transit na, no? Nagbibiyahe kasi ako. Kaya pasensya na kayo kung medyo choppy. And siguro medyo humihina yung connection ng internet. Okay? So,
Nawala
the
rin po yung
muscles of the
PowerPoint,
tongue
Doc.
class, nawala din ang power source na disco. Ayan. Meron na, wala.
Wala pa po, Doc.
Nawala class.
Siguro po sa signal.
O, kasi andito na ako sa ano eh. Ano na ba ito? Urdaneta, Pangasinan. No? So, merong area kasi dito na mahina ang signal. So, you cannot see me and you cannot. Ha?
Yung
Alin?
PowerPoint lang po.
Saan? Ayan, meron na class. Meron?
Yes po, Doc.
Okay. Pasensya na kayo ha kasi kasi supposed to be ang gagawin ko sana i-lecture ko na lang lahat this afternoon. Kaya nga lang alam mo na, nakalagay sa schedule that the lecture should be in the morning, which will be followed by the lecture of Dr. Hershey. Okay? So I hope na matapos ko ito. Kung hindi ko ito matapos kasi medyo mahaba-haba kasi ang organ derivatives eh. So yung matatapos ko lang until before Dr. Hershey will enter, okay, the Google Meet. Okay, so I put all the this in the tabulated form. Okay, so we have the muscles of the tongue. Ano nga pagka pala nakatransit ka nagle-lecturing, no? Hindi ka nakaka-focus lecture. No? Okay, so the muscles of the tongue are innervated by your cranial nerve number 12, and it is except your palatoglossus, no, which is innervated. Hindi pag pinas ko, ayaw na, hindi na nila makikita. Hindi nila makikita. Makikita nila. Okay, class, so nakikita niyo yung slide.
Apo, Doc. Kita po.
Okay. And then the mucous membrane of the tongue, the anterior two-third. Okay. The anterior two-third is innervated by your cranial nerve number 5. Okay, your trigeminal nerve. Yung, if you remember kanina class, yung may lila na may legend na lines and vertical lines. And then your posterior one-third of the tongue is innervated by your cranial nerve number 9, your glossopharyngeal. Now the taste pulse of the tongue, anterior two-third is innervated by your cranial nerve number 7, and then you have the posterior one-third of the tongue innervated by your cranial nerve number 9. Okay. So, when it comes to the blood supply of the tongue, no, the blood supply of the tongue arises from your lingual artery, which originates from the external carotid, and then the dorsal lingual artery, okay, supplying the dorsal, the posterior and the root of the tongue, the deep lingual artery, anterior part of the anterior lingual tongue, artery of the tongue, the sublingual, okay, artery supplies the floor and the sublingual gland. Okay, so please take note of the different blood vessels and arterial supply of the tongue. So the lingual vein, all the blood that is coming from the tongue and same thing with the other lingual veins that you have, the dorsal lingual, deep lingual, and the sublingual, deep lingual, and the sublingual. So all of these will be draining toward the internal jugular vein. Okay, now when it comes to the lymphatic drainage, okay, take a look at the picture. The posterior of the tongue, the posterior third of the tongue, will drain its lymph going to the superior deep part of the anterior two-third, will be draining its lymph going into the inferior deep cervical lymph node. The lateral of the anterior two-third will be draining towards the submandibular lymph node and the apex of the tongue will drain its lymph that derivatives of the originating from the primordial pharynx. Okay, so you know already your salivary glands consisting of the biggest of the salivary gland, which is the parotid, and then you have your sublingual and the submandibular glands. Okay, now, what is saliva? When you speak of saliva class, this is a clear, tasteless, odorless viscid fluid which is secreted by the salivary glands. Okay? So, because of the presence of the saliva, okay, it keeps our the mucous membrane of the mouth moist. Okay? And also the main function of saliva is to lubricate the food during mastication. Why that okay? And the moment it is being chewed, then saliva is mixing with your food. Okay? And it is very important for you to take note that the saliva contains enzymes, no, like your salivary amylase. So that's why digestion of carbohydrates begins in the oral cavity. Also, as I said, your carbohydrates, okay, starts to digest, okay, start digesting in the mouth because of the presence of your salivary amylase. Okay, so let's begin discussing the submandibular gland. So if you're going to look at the submandibular gland, you will see the submandibular glands along this area. Can you see this? So this is your submandibular gland. Okay, there are two major parts of your submandibular gland, the superficial and the deep submandibular gland. Now, the superficial, okay, is superiorly located to the mylohyoid muscle. Okay, and then the deep submandibular gland is located in between the hyoglossus and the styloglossus medially and the laterally, okay, between your mylohyoid muscle. Okay, so So this is where you find your, the one I'm pointing. So that is your submandibular gland. So if you're going to take note of the salivary secretion, no, given by your submandibular, it is a mixed saliva, but predominantly serous. Okay, so the submandibular gland will be secreting serous and mucoid saliva, but predominantly serous saliva. Okay, so the gap of the submandibular glands is called the Wartons, no? And where can you find the Wartons duct? It is arising coming from the portion and run forward between the mylohyoid and the hyoglossus muscle. And then it will go downward, going to the medial, to the superior, and then it is innervated by your lingual nerve. Okay, and then after which the Wharton's duct will be distributed between the sublingual gland and your genioglossus muscle and empties at the side of the frenulum of the tongue. Okay, so if you're going to open your mouth, class, no, you try to elevate your tongue and then you will see the sublingual summit. Yung sublingual summit, class, yun yung parang ridge, no? On the sides, on both sides of your frenulum. Okay? So can you see that? No, you can see it. You elevate your tongue and you will see two sublingual summit on the lateral side of your frenulum. Okay? You call it sublingual summit. And it is there where you find the opening of your Wartun's duct. Okay, the sublingual gland. The sublingual gland class is located also at the floor of the mouth between the mucous membrane above and the mylohyoid muscle below. Okay, it surrounds the terminal portion of the submandibular duct. Okay, so magkatabi lang yung class, no? Your the opening of your sublingual gland and your submandibular are just lying side by side at the sublingual summit. Okay, that elevated structure on both sides of your frenulum. Okay, now what type of saliva is being secreted by the sublingual gland? Okay, your the saliva is also a mixture of your mucus and the serous, but predominantly mucoid or mucus. So ang ibig sabihin nun, medyo malapot yung saliva. Okay, and then again your duct. Okay, the ducts of your sublingual gland will open at the sublingual summit at the floor of the mouth. Okay? So that is your sublingual. Okay, now to compare the submandibular and the sublingual, the submandibular is elevated by the parasympathetic secremotor fibers, which is arising coming from your facial nerve. And then it will run in the corda tympani and the lingual nerve and synapse in the submandibular ganglion. While the sublingual is innervated by the parasympathetic fibers from the submandibular ganglion and either or directly through the lingual nerve. So this is the comparison between the submandibular and the sublingual gland. Okay, so when it comes to the blood supply, the submandibular gland is drained and supplied by the submental artery and submental vein. Okay, and then the lymph will be flowing and drained towards the deep cervical lymph node. Now, the sublingual gland is supplied and drained by the sublingual artery and sublingual vein from your lingual and the submental vein and submental artery that arises from the facial vein and the facial artery. Okay? Now, just the same like your submandibular gland, lymphatic vessels drain toward the cervical or the deep cervical lymph node. Okay? So please take note of the differences between your sublingual and your submandibular gland. Okay, so what is the rationale class? Kunyari, you have a patient, no? And usual complaint of the patient is chest pain. Okay? So, bakit ang ibinibigay, how come you're trying to give prescription, okay, when you give nitroglycerin? This is the tablet. When you recommend to your patient, just put it under your tongue. Okay? Do not just chew it. Just allow it to melt under your tongue. Okay. Now remember, class, that the nitroglycerin tablet that is placed under your tongue because of the presence of our sublingual duct. Okay, our sublingual duct and your submandibular duct will absorb the drug and enter the deep lingual vein. So yun ang rationale, class, no? You don't need to chew, no? Sabi mo sa pasyente, just let it melt under your tongue. And then this nitroglycerin tablet, okay, which is a vasodilator drug, okay, will be absorbed, no? Will be absorbed, okay, by the sublingual duct and move it toward the deep lingual vein. Okay, so that is the rationale when you prescribe your patient some nitroglycerin tablet. Absorption caused by the nitroglycerin tablet are absorbed by the sublingual duct and channel it towards your sublingual veins. So that is your sublingual absorption of drugs. Okay, now, so we now go to the largest salivary gland, and that is your parotid. So if you're going to look, class, this is your parotid gland. Ayan ang parotid gland. Okay? So it will be extending, okay, and occupying the retromandibular space. So where can you find the retromandibular space? Okay, the mandibular front of the mandible and the mastoid process and your sternocleidomastoid muscle behind. Okay, so this is your sternocleidoid muscle gland, what I'm pointing. Okay, so that is your submandibular gland. Okay, so if you're going to look at your parotid, the parotid gland is invested, no, by a fibrous capsule which are derivative of the deep cervical fascia. And it is separated from the submandibular gland by the stylomandibular ligament, and it occupies, okay, secreting the copious watery saliva. Kaya nga the tawag dito, the content, okay, or the texture of the serous saliva, class, no? Yung serous that is being secreted by the parotid is watery. Pagka watery ang saliva, you call it serous saliva. Okay, so what do you call the parotid duct? The parotid duct is also called the extensens duct. So you will see the extensens duct crossing the masseter and piercing the vaccinator and opens in the oral vestibule opposite the second upper molar tooth. Okay? So nasaan siya? So this is your parotid duct, yung kulay green. Can you see? So this is your parotid duct arising from the anterior border of the parotid gland, okay, penetrating the vaccinator, okay, passing on top of your masseter muscle, and then enters the oral vestibule at the at the upper border of the second molar tooth. Okay? So doon lumalabas, class, ang inyong serous saliva that is being secreted by the parotid gland. Sa loob, no? Sa loob ng oral cavity. Okay, so the parotid gland is innervated by the parasympathetic nerves, okay, or the parasympathetic fibers coming from the glossopharyngeal nerve by way of the lesser petrosal nerve. Okay? So yung nag innervate ng parotid gland is the lesser petrosal nerve, okay, which originates from the glossopharyngeal nerve. Okay? So please take note of the innervation and the lack of the parotid. Okay, arterial supply of the parotid gland, okay, from the branches of the external carotid and superficial temporal artery. And then all the blood coming from the parotid will be drained towards the retromandibular vein. Okay? Now, lymphatic vessels, okay, the lymph coming from the um, parotid gland will be drained toward the superficial and the deep cervical lymph node. Okay, so what is hyalography? So, hyalography class is, let's say, for example, there is a problem with the parotid gland. Okay, so what we are going to do, we are going to inject some contrast medium. No, you inject some contrast medium into the parotid duct. Okay, or in your submandibular duct, and then what will happen? No, the procedure is called cyalography. Okay, but the special type of the radiogram that you are trying to do with your patient is called cyalogram. Okay, so cyalogram and the cyalography. Okay, so any question about the other component of the foregut derivative organs arising coming from the primordial pharynx before we proceed to the esophagus? Okay, quiet. So it means you understood. Are you still there, class? Can you still hear me?
Yes po, Doc.
Okay. So we're already in the esophagus, no? So I told you, kailan nag-uumpisa yung distal part ng foregut derivatives, no? The moment the esophagus enters the cardia. Okay, so yung upper portion of your esophagus that is in the thoracic region is still part of your distal, okay? Um, the primitive part of the distal part of the foregut derivative. Okay, so the esophagus is purely muscle or muscular. Okay, around 23 to 25 centimeters long or 10 to 11 inches long. Okay, so it is extending from the pharynx to the stomach, and the main function of the esophagus is to propel food. Okay, from the mouth to the esophagus and then to the stomach. Now remember that if you're going to look at the histologic picture of the esophagus, you will see esophageal glands. Okay, so these esophageal glands are the mucus glands that secretes mucus for lubrication, so that it is not difficult and hard to swallow the food because of the presence of the mucus coming from your esophageal or your mucus gland. Now, you need to take note that the esophagus follow the curvature of the vertebral column. Okay, it follows the curvature of the vertebral column, and it is descending through the neck and posterior mediastinum and enters the stomach at the cardia of the stomach. Okay, so this is your esophagus. This is your thoracic aorta. So this is your esophagus. Okay, andyan din si vagus nerve. Vagus nerve yung nandyan, no? And then take a look at the opening. So this is the opening of the diaphragm, the esophageal hiatus. Okay. Now, the right border, can you see the right border of the esophagus continues with the lesser curvature. Yan. Ito yung right border ng esophagus. So, class, this is your diaphragm, no? So, the moment the diaphragm enters the moment the esophagus enters the esophageal hiatus in your diaphragm, then that is the beginning of the distal end of your foregut derivatives. Okay? So the moment the esophagus enters the cardia. So this is the cardia of the stomach. And then, what do you see on the left border of the esophagus? The left border of the esophagus will be separated from the fundus. So this is the fundus of the stomach. So there is a cardiac knot separating the entrance of the esophagus to the cardia and the body of the stomach. So that is what we call the cardiac knots or incisura cardiaca. Okay? Incisura cardiaca. Yan ang incisura cardiaca. Okay? And then, so at the inferior end of the esophagus, you will find your esophagogastric junction. Okay? And then in that gastric junction, you will find your esophageal sphincter. So what is the main function of the esophageal sphincter? It prevents reflux of food or the stomach juices going back to the esophagus. Okay? So what will happen to us? Kunyari, weak ang iyong esophageal sphincter. If the esophageal sphincter is weak, okay, so that's why when you burp, no, you will sense some sour sensation in your mouth. So it happens when you have GERD or the gastroesophageal disease. Okay, there is weakness of the esophageal sphincter. Okay, so yung gastroesophageal disease. Now, class, gastroesophageal, the GERD is not good, no, because of the backflow of the acidic content of the stomach going back to the mouth, then it might cause some irritation in the esophagus. Okay, so it might cause some irritation in the esophageal wall when you have GERD, and of course, when there is always irritation, then it might cause malignancy or cancer of the esophagus. Okay? So that's why if you are an individual na kapag nagbaburp ka class, no, there is a sour sensation in your in your mouth, okay? So kailangan ipa-check, magpa-check up ka. Otherwise, frequent esophageal irritation might cause cancer of the esophagus. Okay? Now, and take note, class, that when you swallow food, no, or when you are swallowing the food that you swallow momentarily stops, okay, before it will enter the stomach. Okay, that is because of the esophageal sphincter. Okay, so that is your esophageal sphincter, which is found at the distal end, no, or the inferior end of the esophagus. Andito yan. Okay. Now, class, how are you going to, doon ba na ako mag-stay sa parking? Anyway, the students can still hear me. Okay, how are you going to describe the esophagus? Okay, so take a look. So you have, in the picture, we'll show you description 2, and you have your description 1. Okay, so if you're going to look at the picture, using the description 1, it means description 1 class on the right side of the esophagus. Okay? So kung nakatingin sa iyo, kung nakaharap sa iyo yung esophagus, yung nasa left side ng esophagus. Pero kung nasa slide, right side ng esophagus. Yan, nakalagay naman sa description 1. So the cervical segment will begin at the lower end of the pharynx. Okay, it is located as the lower end of the pharynx, specifically at the level of your C6 vertebra. Okay, and then extending to the thoracic inlet hanggang doon sa may thoracic supraesternal notch. So that is your cervical segment. Now, if you're going to measure your cervical segment from the incisor teeth, okay, it measures 18 centimeter. Okay, kaya class, when you are inserting the NGT, the nasogastric tube, alam mo that you are still in the cervical segment if the level of the NGT is still at 18 centimeters. Okay? So that is your cervical segment. Now, the thoracic segment, mid-thoracic, pag dyan, chairman of the board, upper thoracic, mid-thoracic, and the lower thoracic. Are you still with me, class? Can you see?
Yes po, Doc. Naglag ka lang po.
Parking. Anong gagawin? Sandali. Nakaano ba? So, hindi nakikita? Ah, ito. Ayan. Okay, kita niyo PowerPoint, class?
Yes po, Doc.
Kasi medyo nasa gitna na kasi ako ng matataas na building, no? Nakapark na ako sa... Okay, so the thoracic segment is divided into as upper thoracic. When you say upper thoracic class, it is at the level of the thoracic inlet to the bifurcation of the trachea. So this is around 18 to 23 centimeters. Okay, so mid-thoracic, from the tracheal bifurcation, okay, tracheal bifurcation, okay, to the gastroesophageal junction. Okay, so that is around 24 to 32 centimeters. And then you have the lower thoracic segment that is midway between the tracheal bifurcation, okay, and the gastroesophageal junction to the gastroesophageal junction, which includes your esophageal esophagus. I mean the abdominal esophagus. So the length of your or the distance of your lower thoracic esophagus is around 32 to 40 centimeters from the your from your incisor teeth. Okay, so please take note of the um, different segments of your um, esophagus based on how is the length, no? How is the length of your esophagus at the level of the uh, or different level of the esophagus. Okay, now you naman subscription to take note that they are just divided into three, that our esophagus is divided into three parts. Okay, the upper third, the middle third, and the lower third. Okay, so sometimes it is called as proximal third, middle third, and the distal third. Okay, bakit importante, class, knowing your description 2 of the esophagus? Now remember that microscopically speaking, no, yung upper third, no, is mainly composed of the skeletal muscle. Okay? So it's mainly composed of the skeletal muscle. So when the food is passing at the level of the upper third of the esophagus, the process is mechanical, no, mechanical process. And then the middle third of your when you say mechanical process, mainly due to the contraction, no, the movement of food is mainly due to the contraction of the skeletal muscle because the upper third of the esophagus mainly composed of the purely skeletal muscle. Okay, and then the middle third of the esophagus, will be consisting of both skeletal muscle and the smooth muscle. Kaya nga pag sumisilip kayo sa microscope class for you to identify in which segment or level of the esophagus you are, so kailangan makita mo may skeletal muscle and your smooth muscle. So you need to differentiate. Ano ba ang differentiation, no? How are you going to differentiate looking at the skeletal muscle and looking at the smooth muscle? Okay, alam niyo naman siguro yung differences. And then you have your lower third. So the lower third esophagus purely composed of the smooth muscle. Okay, so it's purely composed of the smooth muscle. Okay, so may time pa tayo. Mukhang matatapos natin class, no? So this is the three parts of your esophagus based on the upper third, middle third, and the lower third. Okay, arterial supply of the esophagus, mainly coming from the left gastric artery. And yan, ito yung left gastric artery natin, which is actually a branch of the celiac artery. And then, of course, you also have the left inferior phrenic artery, which is a branch or a direct branch of the abdominal aorta. Okay, so these are the arterial supply of the esophagus. Now, venous drainage, okay, so the blood that is coming from the esophagus will be drained toward the esophagus. Now, remember that the esophagus is found at the anterior to the wall of your thoracic wall, no, yung posterior thoracic wall. And then you have also your left gastric vein. Yan. Okay, remember that if you're talking about the left gastric artery, the left gastric artery will supply blood going to the upper part of the lesser curvature of the stomach, and it also supply blood going to the esophagus. Okay, lymphatic drainage. So all of the lymph that is coming from the lymph nodes, no? I mean of the esophagus, coming from the esophagus will be drained towards the left gastric lymph node. Okay? So nasa left gastric lymph nodes, nandito yan, left gastric lymph nodes. Okay? The cardiac nodes of the stomach. Nerve supply. So there are three innervation of the esophagus, vagal trunks, thoracic, sympathetic trunks. Please take a look. Meron siyang arrow na green. And the greater and the lesser is splanchnic nerves. Okay? So actually, kung bibilangin mo, there are four nerve supply of the esophagus. Okay, so this is very important class, no? The three anatomic constriction. So when you say, class, are you still there?
Yes po, Doc.
Okay. Okay, so it is very important class. Oh, this is always this anatomic constriction of the esophagus are always given in the board exam. So in which level of the esophagus you will find anatomic constriction? So the first constriction is your pharyngoesophageal constriction, no? So this is part of the esophageal inlet where the pharynx joins the esophagus. Okay? So pagka nag-join na yung esophageal inlet, nag-join na yung pharynx sa esophagus, so that is your pharyngoesophageal constriction. You find it behind the cricoid cartilage, okay, that is 14 to 16 centimeter from your incisor teeth. Okay, so that is the first constriction. Now, the second constriction is called the aortobronchial constriction, or you call it thoracic constriction of the esophagus. So, this happens when the anterior surface of the esophagus is crossed by the aortic arch and the left bronchus. So, this is around 25 to 27 centimeter coming from your incisor teeth. Okay, and then the third constriction is when the esophagus pierces the diaphragm. Okay, that is your diaphragmatic constriction measuring 36 to 38 centimeters from the incisor teeth. Okay, so this picture will show you the different constriction of the esophagus. Okay, so please take a look at this picture and try to determine, your pharyngoesophageal constriction. This is the first, and then you have the aortobronchial, and then you have the diaphragmatic constriction. Okay? So bakit importante class ang constriction of the esophagus? Kunyari, nabilao ka, esophageal obstruction due to swallowing, okay, of the big chunk of food. Okay? So, doon saan mo siya unang makikita? Di siyempre, first esophageal constriction mo siya makikita. Okay? So, this is the importance of the esophageal constriction. Okay, so radiological, this is the radiologic picture class, no, of the constriction of the esophagus. Okay? So makikita mo dito, mayroon siyang narrowing. Okay, so we're already in the stomach. So the stomach is arises from the Greek word gaster. The capacity is 1.5 liter. And then the main function of the stomach is to blend the food and also as reservoir of the food. So digestion takes place because of the presence of enzyme. So that's why it is called enzymatic digestion. So the stomach in gross anatomy is divided into four parts. Pagka sa histology class, three parts lang. Okay, combination of the fundus and the body. But if you're talking about anatomical, gross anatomical division, you have the cardia. So the cardia is the part of the stomach very close to the gastroesophageal junction. And then you have the fundus, the dilated part, okay, which is the most superior part of the stomach, the body, which is the major part, lying between the fundus and the pyloric antrum. So the pyloric antrum class is the widened or dilated part of the pyloric region, no? The distal part or the distal end of the esophagus. And then the pylorus proper. So the pylorus proper is the most distal part, divisible into pyloric antrum, the wide part, and then you have the pyloric canal. Okay, so the pyloric canal is the narrowed part because of the presence of the pyloric sphincter. Okay, pyloric sphincter. Okay, so this is the picture of the stomach. So this is the cardia. The cardia is the moment the esophagus enters the stomach. So that's the cardia. And then you have the elevated part. Okay, fundus. And then this is the body and your bronchial. Pyloric. Pyloric or the pylorus. Okay. So the dilated part of the pylorus is the antrum. Okay, yan, antrum. And then the narrowed part is the pyloric canal. Okay? So this part here is already your duodenum. Okay? So this is the pylorus proper. Now, if you're going to look at, no, the, as I said, on the left border, no, left border of the stomach, you will find the angle, and that is your cardiac notch or the uh, cardiaca incisura or the incisura cardiaca. Okay, and then here we have um another incisura, okay, or a deepened structure which what we call the angular notch. So please take note of the notching, and then you have your greater curvature where your greater omentum attaches. Okay. Now, if you're going to look at the picture, the greater omentum extends from the greater curvature to the press part of the duodenum. Okay? Now, that greater omentum class is the policeman of the abdominal cavity. Okay? The policeman of the abdominal cavity. Bakit policeman? Because in cases that there are some impending inflammation, kunyari, merong appendicitis, no? So if there is an appendicitis, and specifically if there is already an abscess formation, no? Abscess formation ng appendix, what will you observe pag open mo ng abdominal cavity? The distal end of or the lower end of the greater omentum will be covering the entire appendix, okay? So that is ang tawag doon localization. It will localize the appendix so that the abscess or if the appendix is already ruptured, the fecal material will not be contaminating the whole of the abdominal cavity. No? So that is the action of your greater omentum. That is to prevent and localize inflammation or infection caused by appendix. Okay, class, can you still hear me?
Yes po, Doc.
Okay. Kaya kasi hindi ko kayo nakikita, no? Kasi nakukubera ng PowerPoint, no? Okay, so you have your lesser curvature and your greater curvature. So you know that already, no? So you see that the lesser curvature, you will find your angular incisure or angular notch or the incisura angulare, no? So that is indentation approximating the body of the junction of the stomach and the pyloric or the pyloric region of the stomach. And then the greater curvature forms the longer body convex border of the stomach. Okay, so surface anatomy, this is very important also, class. Okay, pagka tinanong ka, where is the cardia? How is or where is the location of the cardia of the stomach? It is going posterior to the left side, okay, at the level of the six costal cartilage, 2 to 4 centimeter from the median plane at the level between T10 and T11 vertebra. Nasaan si Pundus? Pundus is the posterior to the fifth left rib in the mid-clavicular lane. So sa left side. And then greater curvature passes inferiorly to the left as far as the 10 costal cartilage. So this is the surface anatomy of the stomach. And then the pyloric antrum. The pyloric antrum lies at the level of the okay? Plus, ito yung pyloric plane. Pagka sinabi natin pyloric plane, it is also at the level of L1 vertebra. Okay? It is where the pyloric orifice or the pyloric antrum is located. Okay? In reference to the vertebral level, at the level of your L1. Sa anterior abdominal wall naman, okay, yan yung pyloric plane. Okay? So please take note. And then pyloric canal, okay, at the right side, at the level from L2, L3, L4. So meron din siyang variation class, no? Yung pyloric canal, yung location ng pyloric canal. Okay, relationship with the stomach. The stomach is anterior to the diaphragm, left lobe of the liver, anterior abdominal wall. Okay, and the stomach is posteriorly related to the omental bursa and the pancreas. Okay, the stomach is superior to inferior from the left dome of the diaphragm, spleen, left kidney, suprarenal gland, splenic artery, pancreas, and the transverse mesocolon. Okay, so this is very important class, no? Sabi nga ng PRC, para maintindihan so that the students will really understand no the anatomy, you need to it is being recommended from the PRC to discuss the relationship, okay, of any organ to the surrounding structure. Okay? Kaya meron ako ditong relationship. Okay, so the stomach is like us, no? When we are lying down on our bed, meron tayong tinatawag na stomach bed. Okay? So the stomach bed is where the stomach rests when a person is in supine position and is formed by the structures forming the posterior wall of the omental bursa. So yung most common structures which are serving the uh, posterior, or I mean the stomach bed of the stomach are your omental bursa. Okay, so we are already in the blood supply. Anong sabi natin? Your stomach is part of the foregut derivatives. So when you say foregut derivatives, the blood supply of the saan manggagaling ang blood supply? The blood supply will be coming from the celiac artery or the celiac trunk. Okay? So that is how are you going to remember. Okay, so take a look at the lesser curvature. So in the lesser curvature class, no, this is your abdominal aorta, and then this is your celiac artery. Please take a look at the cursor I am pointing, or the structure I am pointing by the cursor. So you will see here, no, the right hip part or the right gastric, okay, the right gastric artery. Okay, so the right gastric artery, kasi ito yun, no, kita nyo. Okay? So this is the right gastric artery which arises from the celiac trunk or the celiac artery. Okay? And then you have your left gastric artery. Ito siya. Okay? So if you're going to look at between the left gastric and the right gastric artery, you will see that they originate from the celiac artery. And they are supplying the lesser curvature of the stomach up to the level of the esophagus. Okay, then you have the hepatic artery. Okay, the right gastroepiploic, okay, is the one that is supplying blood to the greater curvature of the stomach. So you have your greater curvature. The right gastroepiploic artery arises from the it arises from the hepatic artery. Ito yung hepatic artery class, no? So kung makikita nyo, hepatic artery, okay, nag-branch going to the gastroduodenal. And the gastroduodenal will give off a branch which is your greater curvature. I mean the greater epiploic, greater gastroepiploic artery. And then you have also your left gastroepiploic, which arises coming from your splenic artery. Yan ang splenic artery. Okay? So that is the splenic, which is running on top of the pancreas. Okay? So kung titin mo, galing talaga siya sa splenic artery. While this one is from gastroepiploic. Or I mean the gastroduodenal artery. And then you have your short gastric arteries. The short gut arteries arises from the spleen. Ayan. So kita naman na galing siya sa splenic artery. Okay, so this is another picture that will tell you the different arterial supply of the stomach. So that is your celiac artery. Okay, this is the hepatic branch, and this is your splenic and artery branch. Okay, so take note where the left gastroepiploic arises, okay, and where your short gastric arteries that supply your pundus of the stomach, okay. So please take note and try to familiarize yourself about the blood vessel of the stomach. Okay, venous drainage. Now remember class that most of the um, venous drainage that is coming from the abdominal cavity, no, from the visceral organs of the abdomen, all of this will be draining towards the portal vein. Okay? So from the portal vein to your uh, liver. Okay? Remember that the portal vein will supply around 70 to 80% of blood, okay, to the liver. Okay? So the right and left gastric vein, please take a look at the picture. You will see the right and left gastric vein draining towards the portal vein. Ayan ang portal vein class, no? Yan. The portal vein is formed by the union of your splenic artery and the superior mesenteric. No, no, not artery, vein, no? The portal vein arises from the union of the splenic vein and the superior mesenteric vein. Okay? So, the blood that is coming from the right and left gastric will be drained towards the portal vein. Ayan. Okay, can you see that from the left gastric? Okay, and the right gastric. And then the blood vessel coming from the gastroepiploic plus coming from the shorter veins. They will be moving towards the splenic vein and from the splenic vein to the portal vein. Same thing with the right gastroepiploic. Okay, the blood here will be drained towards the portal vein. Okay, innervation. So you have the parasympathetic and the sympathetic innervation. So the parasympathetic innervation class supply the anterior vagal trunk. So ito yung anterior vagal trunk, okay, from the left vagus nerve. And then dun sa likod dito is the right vagus trunk, okay, which arises from the posterior trunk. Okay? So, take note that all of this parasympathetic innervation will enter the abdominal region going to the esophageal hiatus. And then you also have your sympathetic nerve supply from the T6 to T9 spinal nerves. Okay? So, they arises from the spinal cord. Okay, anong clinical significance class ng anterior and saka posterior vagus nerve? Okay, kunyari you have a patient, no? You have a patient who is chronically complaining of epigastric pain and hyperacidity. Okay, kung if you are a physician, bigay ka na bigay ng antacids or any medication, okay, for hyperacidity of the patient. Okay, kunyari ilang taon na, no? Ilang taon nang umiinom ng gamot, no? Ng hyperacid or antacid. Pero hindi siya nagre-recover, no? Hindi nawawala yung pagsakit ng sikmura niya due to hyperacidity. Then what you are going to do, if you are a surgeon, no, kapag inirefer sa iyo yung pasyente, okay, the best thing that you can recommend is do vagotomy. Okay? So, pagka sinabing vagotomy, you are going to cut, okay, your anterior and the posterior vagus nerve, no? Ikakat mo yan and then ligate. Okay? Now, remember that your vagus nerve is parasympathetic. So, ano mangyayari kapag parasympathetic stimulation? Increase secretion more high or increase secretion of hydrochloric acid. Okay? So kaya yung pasyente laging may hyperacidity resulting to gastric irritation. Okay, so kapag gastric ulcer, clinical correlates class. So the gastric ulcers are usually common at the body of the stomach along the lesser curvature above the incisura angularis. Okay, so the gastric ulceration is common at the lesser curvature of the stomach while your cancer or carcinomas are mostly affecting the pylorus. No? Bakit pylorus? There are more of your hydrochloric acid secretion in the pylorus. Okay? Kaya sometimes, pagka meron ka ng malignancy sa stomach, meron ka ring tendency na meron ng duodenal carcinoma. Okay, because the pylorus is very close to the duodenum. No, the acidity of the stomach is very strong. Okay, so we are ready in the duodenum. Okay, so several slides left because this is forgot derivative. So I will end my lecture at the duodenum, specifically at the level of the second part or the descending part. Okay, so the duodenum is divided into four parts: the first, second, third, and fourth part, or the superior, descending, horizontal, and the ascending part of the duodenum. Okay, so the duodenum is the first part or the first segment of the small intestine, and it is said to be the widest, the most peaks, and the shortest among the segments of the small intestine. It measures around 10 inches or 25 centimeters, and it is C-shaped. Okay, so it begins at the pylorus on the right side and ends at the duodenojejunal junction. Okay, so that is the first part of the duodenum. Okay, so as I said, you have four divisions or four parts of the duodenum. The superior, the first, it is around 5 centimeter, lying anterolaterally to the body of the lumbar one vertebra. Okay, so descending is the second part, measuring 7 to 10 centimeters long, which descends along the right side of your L1, L2, L3. Okay, and then you have the third part, the horizontal, crossing your lumbar tree, and it is at the level of the 6 to 8 centimeters. Ascending, the fourth part, 5 centimeter, and begins at the level border of the left trap tree. Okay. So these are your divisions of the duodenum. Okay, so this is your duodenum class. Yan ang pancreas, no? So how will you be able to see the pancreas? Kailangan i-open nyo muna class, no? Yung greater omentum. Yung greater omentum kasi nakahang diyan sa greater curvature ng stomach. Okay, so open up the greater omentum and you will be able to see your duodenum and the pancreas. Remember that these are retroperitoneal organs, no? So when you say retroperitoneal organs, the structure is only covered anteriorly um, by your peritoneum, no? Peritoneal covering, no? Only covering the anterior part of the duodenum and the pancreas. Yan ang tawag sa kanila, they are retroperitoneal organs. Okay, so the duodenum here is transected, okay, sagittally, so that you will see the joining of your stomach with the cardiac, oh no, the parts of your um, duodenum. Okay. Now, the important thing that you need to take a look at the duodenum class is the entrance of your or the exit of the major duodenal papilla of Vater. Yan. No? So remember that the pancreatic duct, ito yung pancreatic duct, and the union of your common bile duct will give you your major duodenal papilla or your ampulla of Vater. Okay? So surrounding the major duodenal papilla class, no, the is your sphincter, no? Preventing the duodenal contents going back to the major pancreatic duct, no? And your lymphatic duct. Medyo malaki yung ano natin class, no? Yung mga when you identify, no? Uh, you need to take note that no, that the if you're going to know, this is your major pancreatic duct and then this is your minor pancreatic duct. Okay? So the major pancreatic duct opening is somewhere 4 millimeters above your minor duodenal papilla. Yan. Okay? So yan yung ating duodenum. First part, ascending. Second part, descending. Third, and then biglang aakyat ngayon ang duodenum. Okay? So it will go up and become the ascending portion of the duodenum. Okay? So ito na yung duodenal junction. Okay? It is very important that you identify the ligament of Treitz. Okay? So the ligament of Treitz is found at the duodenal junction, where you confine your where you confine your ligament of Treitz class, no? So the ligament of Treitz class is very important among the surgeons, okay? If bleeding, if the patient is vomiting blood, no? So it means that the bleeding arises coming from structures proximal to the ligament of Treitz. And then if the patient has hematochezia, okay, so it means that the bleeding is distal to the ligament of Treitz. So nandito lang ang ligament of Treitz class, duodenojejunal junction. Okay? So it's very important that you identify it, no? So that you will know kung nasa duodenum ka o nasa jejunum ka na. Okay? Kasi class in cases, you have injury to the duodenum, you cannot just, may 5 minutes na, you cannot just repair the duodenum, no? You need to put drains for at least 2 weeks, no? And then, saka maipupull out yung drain after 2 weeks when the injury to the duodenum is already healed. Pag hindi mo ginawa yan, class, ay morbidity. Pagka sinabi nating morbidity, class, no, there will be some post-operative problem with your patient. And the most common is uh, giving up, no, reopening of the wound that you repaired. No? Kasi very acidic ang content ng duodenum. Okay, so nasa superior part tayo, first part of the duodenum. It is the first part of the duodenum is anteriorly related to the quadrate lobe of the liver and the gallbladder. Okay, the superior part is posterior to the lesser sac, gastroduodenal artery, bile duct, portal vein, and the inferior vena cava. It is superior to the epiploic foramen and inferior to the head of the pancreas. So the descending part is anteriorly related to the fundus of the gallbladder, right lobe of the liver, transverse mesocolon. And then the descending part is located posteriorly, okay, to the hilum of the right kidney and the right ureter. And it is lateral to the ascending colon, right choric flexure in the right lobe of the liver. And it is medial, the descending part is medial to the head of the pancreas, bile duct, and the main pancreatic duct. Okay, so actually class, no, yung ating forgot derivative, so tingnan ninyo class, ito yung major duodenal papilla. Okay? So ang ibig sabihin, the forgot derivative, okay, will end here at this level. Can you see? So this is where your forgot derivative ends at the level of the exit of your common bile duct or the major, okay, or your major duodenal papilla. And then, saan mag-uumpisa ang mid-gut derivative? The mid-gut derivative will begin, okay, distal to the opening of your common bile duct. Okay? Up to the level of the half or middle third of your transverse colon. Okay, please take note. Okay, so ito yung relationship ng horizontal part or the third part of the duodenum. Okay, nandiyan lahat. Anyway, I'll be posting this lecture class kasi almost 10 o'clock na. And then ito yung relationship ng ating ascending o deport part. So, na-mention ko na kanina yung duodenojejunal junction, no? So, the duodenojejunal junction is where you find the ligament of Treitz. Okay, anong sabi natin? Bleeding above ligament of Treitz, that is vomiting, hematemesis, or structures above the ligament of Treitz. Coffee ground is stool, okay, bleeding, hematochezia ang tawag doon. Okay, all structures, bleeding coming from structures below or distal to your ligament of Treitz. Okay, blood supply ng duodenum, upper part, superior pancreatico-duodenal from the gastroduodenal artery, which is a branch of the celiac. Lower part, inferior pancreatico-duodenal from the superior mesenteric part. Okay, kaya nga sabi natin, ang duodenum is an organ with two supply. Okay, whether it is blood supply, superior mesenteric, and celiac artery. Okay, supraduodenal artery, which is also a branch of the gastroduodenal. Okay, so the gastroduodenal are branches, no, dalawang supragastroduodenal. So they are branches of the gastroduodenal, which is a branch of the celiac. Okay, while the inferior pancreatico-duodenal is supplied by the superior mesenteric artery. So, kaya nga, there are two um, arterial supply of the duodenum. So venous drainage, okay, all the blood will be drained toward the superior pancreatico-duodenal vein and drained to the portal vein. And then blood from the inferior pancreatico-duodenal vein will join the superior mesenteric vein and join the portal vein. So lymphatic drainage, okay, going up, pancreatico-duodenal nodes, okay, to the gastroduodenal and to the celiac nodes. And then those from the structures from the inferior part of the duodenum, it will drain its nerve, I mean your lymph, to the pancreatico-duodenal nodes, okay, towards your superior mesenteric node. Okay, so nerve supply, nerve celiac, and mesenteric nerve plexus. Okay, so I think okay, clinical correlations. So duodenal ulcers, uncommon ang duodenal ulcer class, anterior wall of the first part of the duodenum, followed by the posterior wall. Okay, ulcer located at the posterior wall of the first part of the duodenum. So yan yung first and the second most common. Okay, anterior wall ng first part of the duodenum, okay, most common. Duodenal ulcer is found, and it is the second is the ulcer found as the posterior wall of the duodenum. Okay, now in case there is perforation of the duodenum, what will happen? Specifically, if it is ulceration, duodenal ulcer on the anterior wall. So specifically, kapag naman posterior wall, no, yung ulceration, so it may cause the erosion of your gastroduodenal artery. Kaya nga pagka duodenal ulcer, laging may severe hemorrhage. Okay? And even the um, ulcer could perforate the pancreas. Okay? So that is in cases there is an injury or ulceration as the posterior wall of the um, duodenum. Okay? So, kailan magkakameron ng duodenal compression? Kunyari, nagkameron ka ng tumor of the head of the pancreas, no? So, kapag nagkameron ka ng tumor of the head of the pancreas, it will compress the horizontal part of the duodenum and superior mesenteric vessels may compress. Plus, remember that the superior mesenteric vessels pass at the uncinate process of your pancreas. Okay? And remember that they are very close to the pancreas. Okay? Okay, that is understandable. Okay, so ito yung sinasabi ko sa inyo kanina kapag hematemesis, vomiting of blood arises from the lumen of the esophagus, stomach, duodenum, proximal to the ligament of trike. Okay? So, commonly caused by duodenal ulcer, gastric ulcer, or esophageal varices. Hematochezia is blood in the stool resulting from bleeding to the lumen, to the jejunum, and you have manifesting pain from the ileum, colon, rectum, and distal to the ligament of the right. Okay, so gastric ulcer versus duodenal ulcer. Gastric ulcer, kaya nakapula, no? 25% incidence rate, okay? Male to female ratio equal, and increased risk of people with blood type A. So bleeding from the gastric ulcer usually come from the perforation of the left gastric artery. And the usual manifestation of gastric ulcer, okay, burning the epigastric pain after eating. Soon after you ate food, meron kang epigastric pain. And then, kapag nag-intake ka na, pag kunyari sumakit na yung sikmura mo, okay? O, sabi ng mga matatanda, sige, kumain ka para mawala ang sakit ng tiyan mo. Pero kung hindi ganun ang nangyari, the more there is pain when you take in food, then most likely gastric ulceration. Okay? So this type of ulcer is mainly relieved by your antacid. Okay, duodenal ulcer naman, 75% more common. And it is more common to male with a ratio of 2 to 1. And people with blood type O is risky to have duodenal ulcer. Okay, so the bleeding here arises from the perforation of your gastroduodenal artery. So kapag kumain ka, kunyari may epigastric pain ka, no? The epigastric pain is usually felt, okay, 1 to 3 hours after eating. Okay? So kapag kumain ka, masakit ang tiyan mo because of duodenal ulcer, the pain will be relieved. Okay, the pain decreases food intake. Okay, so ang duodenal ulcer is also relieved by antacids. Okay, so if you're a patient with duodenal ulcer, usually nagigising ka sa hating gabi because of the pain. So if the symptoms is like this, okay, pain, you wake up because of the epigastric pain, then most likely it is duodenal ulcer. Okay, so I think that ends our lecture for today. Plus, hindi na ako masyadong mag-recapitulate sa inyo kasi it's already 10:05. Is Dr. Hershey there already, class?
Hi, dyan po.
Hi, Hershey. Pasensya